New York City football community, get your popcorn, because we're about to get into it. Off the Grid is going to be something like you've never seen before.
Yeah, Off the Grid, stand up. SBC, Black Elvis, Roddy, OG, it's wavy. Look, started from the bottom, so we off the grid. Tryna make it to the top, we soon live off the grid. Had dreams of making teams, I was just a kid. But we off the grid, yeah, we off the grid. On the come up, so we off the grid. Had dreams of the league, we was all just kids. And the bulls from the underground, they often miss the podcast, bringing light so they don't call it quits. Now pass the rock, I'm open on the 10. They call me wavy in the red zone for the win. Then do your dance on them, raise the roof, we got the fans roaring. Catch a pick and then do it again. Chicago ain't my home, but I can't bear to see us lose. Playing rough like Emmitt Smith, I'm bringing 22s. I move smooth through the traffic like convertibles. Try to play me man to man and I'ma have to prove you. Look good, feel good, play good. Only talking prime time, I need to pay good. Was more than just a game, we wasn't from the same hoods. The ball kept us off the block, had to try to remain good. Started from the bottom, so you know we off the grid. Trying to make it to the top, so we live off the grid. Had dreams of making teams, I was just a kid. Oh, we off the grid? Yeah, we off the grid.
What's up, people? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Grid. I'm your host, the commish, sitting here with my boy D-Dub. Once again, Roddy couldn't be with us. He's handling that school business.
That's right.
I'd like to give a shout out to my boy Roddy.
Keep them grades up, boy.
No doubt. So we got a very nice interview with the Mount Vernon family today. But before we get into that, we have to talk about the Super Bowl halftime show. Come on, man. We lived for our great MCs.
So I thought the show was good. It was great. I think I didn't have the expectations that everybody else did. I heard a lot of criticism, right?
I mean, the only criticism I got is it was too short.
Yeah.
They would have lost the Super Bowl if
People
they
were saying,
two
why
more
did
songs.
Mary perform that song? But that was a classic.
They gotta go with, you gotta feed the audience too. Some people, them ladies are still going through drama in this world, so they needed to hear that. You feel me? They needed to hear that. They lived for that song.
Listen, man, speaking of a place rich in culture, we had the opportunity to really spend some time up in 4 square miles of Mount Vernon. Coach Sparks was gracious enough to invite us into his home, Mount Vernon High School. Yes. And, he really gave us a rundown on some really great things that they're developing for the Mount Vernon community.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that are starting to understand the importance of giving back, coming back home, and in some cases repairing some of the holes that they themselves may have helped poke in the structure.
Yes.
So, anytime you get a guy that takes the time out to speak with us, very candidly, might I add, about the challenges young people face, and him himself going through some challenges as a young person in the Mount Vernon area, I think it's a great story for everyone to hear.
Cool. So, I don't think we should waste time. Let's give him the video. Let's give him the interview. Shout out to Coach Sparks and the Mount Vernon family.
Salute. Yes, we're excited today to bring to you an exclusive interview right here from Mount Vernon High School campus. Pleasure to sit down with Coach Mark Murray. He's been the head varsity coach here for a year and a half, and we just really want to get into the program here, what he's tasked himself with in terms of development and growing youth sport and youth development in the city of Mount Vernon. So, Coach Murray, thanks for agreeing to come on.
Appreciate you coming down.
So just, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. You can give a brief history about, how you got to this point and how you arrived as a head coach of Mount Vernon High School football.
Okay. Well, first off, here at Mount Vernon, I'm not called Coach Murray or Coach Mark. Everybody calls me Coach Sparks. If they play for me on a youth level, high school, they might not even put coach in front of it. Sparks is kind of like my Mount Vernon name. It is said with respect. If you all calling me Sparks, you kind of know me. So my football kids, they all know me. Parents all know me. I got grandmas calling me Sparks or Coach Sparks. So it started out as the street name, but ended up into something a lot bigger and a lot more trustworthy to our community. When you hear Sparks, you think of some positive things that I'm trying to do within the city, whether it's football or just bringing attention to our kids, whether it's volunteering, just getting out there to do different things for our community. I started at youth football, though, with the Westchester Jets. 8 years ago, I was just trying to help my nephew out. His dad just went to jail, and Only thing he asked me to do was look after my boy. So I was a street guy, got out of the streets. My brother got locked up, and getting out of the streets, looking after my nephew. He was playing football. He was a big football player. He's at a young age, probably like 9 at the time. He played for the Razorbacks at the time and then transitioned to Westchester Jets. The Jets was ran by somebody else prior to me coming over, but I came over, started at junior P within Rockland County, Pop Warner. I was just an assistant coach. We weren't good at all. We started with 3 teams. Those 3 teams ended up to being 1, and that 1 team was the team that I was coaching on. We didn't win no games. We had a lot of talent though, but as you know, starting a brand new program in a town that already has football can be challenging ain't even a word. You thought people, they thought we was the haters that was going on for history. Like Mount Vernon Razorbacks has a rich history here in Mount Vernon over 27 years, 40-something years, something like that, years. And starting that program, it was rough. 2 teams that disbanded. We was left with 1, and nephew's there. We just had the thing going on with the Razorbacks where we kind of like split from them, and it was just like, where do we go from here? Yeah, some people talk about New Row, have some people talk about Eastchester. I just couldn't fathom myself being a graduate of 2006, playing against Ray Rice. Last time we played in the championship, I was a starting quarterback, and we played New Row. So I come from my Vernon, New Row rivalry.
When you look at the New York metro area landscape, your story sounds so cookie cutter because there are so many people that are dealing with the same sentiment
in the city.
Even more interesting, Mount Vernon, I went to high school with a guy from Mount Vernon. People that are Mount Vernon natives, there's a catchphrase that I hear a lot, 4 square miles to Mount Vernon. So for such a small concentrated area, for you to have the same challenge that people in a much larger metro area have, it's very interesting and it's telling. We're kind of dealing with the same elements.
Mount Vernon is 4 square miles, but our attitude, you would think we was a complete city. We got our own mindset. We so close to the Bronx that people kind of confuse us with a borough, but we are not a borough.
There is a disconnect though, like from the city and then like Mount Vernon and everybody else who's up here, or do y'all feel like y'all have your own swag from everybody else, or it's kind of like the same?
It's a New York swag. Yeah, I think you kind of look at New York swag and it's kind of similar, but you do have a different boroughs. You could tell where they from. I think Mount Vernon fits within that realm. We kind of got a mixture of little Bronx, little Harlem. Mount Vernon is 4 square miles, but you got so many different personalities. So you might have some people from Mount Vernon who family from Brooklyn. Family might be from Harlem. Family might be from the Bronx. And sometimes those traits from your family trickle down to how you do things. So Mount Vernon is like a melting pot when it comes down to fashion and stuff like that, because you'll see somebody baggied up, Wu-Tang looking, and then you'll see somebody some of the tightest clothes ever. But then you kind of got it all, but we all have the kind of same attitude and mindset. We're going to get it. We're going to figure it out. About the bread, trying to get our buck. And now, it's now becoming, how do we make our city better? You was at the gala. What they didn't say is, everybody in that gala that kind of got a recipient that was of my age graduated 2006. Danielle Brown, she graduated from here 2006. She's a city council member. Danilio Hutchins, he got a foundation out here. He's an assistant coach for the basketball team, graduated 2006. Myself, got the Inspire Award, graduated 2006, played football here. Class of 2006 is really running Mount Vernon as a whole now. And it comes from the part of us making Mount Vernon bad. We really are the generation to why we don't have anything now. Like the gang violence, the fights, the shootings. I was just telling somebody, I lost more friends in a 2-year time span than most people that can't even fathom in a real city. 4 square miles, we was on regular news back in 2005, 2006, 7, like, it was just bad. My grandmother lives in Greenberg, White Plains, and she used to call it Mount Vietnam. Are you going back down to Mount Vietnam? So we had a bad time, but a lot of us now realize that, and I think our generation looks back on that and say, you know, we got to do better. That's why you see all of us doing what we got to do now. That's why I went so hard.
Not just you guys as a graduating class and people from a generation of Mount Vernon coming back and giving back, but you know, somebody had to sign off and see the value in the fact that you guys were members of the community, you had the respect of the youth, and that you were trendsetters in the sense that you have the ability to come back into a city, galvanize it, and put the battery in these kids back to kind of get them to lift the city up. I think a lot of times we look for the legislators and the people in charge to take charge of that. But the reality is nobody's going to get the kind of results that you and your contemporaries are going to be able to get.
Well, I got to give kudos to people like Coach Semino, it's the AD and the basketball coach here. He got all of those championships. He has a rich legacy. And then Mayor Patterson. Mayor Patterson doesn't cater to the older community in Mount Vernon. She understands the younger community is the community that's going to drive this community forward. And Coach Semino, he gave me and Danilio a chance. He was a social studies teacher when I was here in high school and just a basketball coach. Now he's the AD, and after that first year with the Jets, I sat in his office and just was talking to him about getting the field for practice, games, and stuff like that. And I sat there and told him, give me 4 years, 5 years. I'm coming back for the head coaching job. That was a true statement. The job presented itself, I went for it, and I got it. So I spoke that into existence, and I just told him, I could have been like, I need the job now. But I believed in myself. I knew I wasn't blind to, without the college experience, I said I needed to build my resume up. That's what I did. And I ended up having the dream job.
And you're in a position to influence the kids and give them opportunity. I want, like, you spoke about how you were a part of the violence and a part of the negativity, but now you're a part of the positivity. What do you have to say to the kids who are either right now they're in the positive space or they're in the negative space? What do they need to do to participate with you to make their communities better, whether it's Mount Vernon, Harlem, Bronx?
Like, everybody, real recognize real. So some of these kids is real. They out here, they doing real things. They don't know what they doing, but they doing real things. Here in Mount Vernon, I can say, me coaching youth football for so long, I touch a lot of those kids now who are in the streets. If they're not playing football now, some of them are in the streets tearing it up. If they didn't, like, everybody falls off that track. Everybody can't make it. Everybody don't have the mindset. Everybody don't have the home structure to keep them on the path. As coaches, we could do but so much. And I'm in households. Parents call me 5 in the morning, 10 at night. Like, I get those phone calls. I got to go to houses. My girl, she had to come to an understanding of, you know what, you're a real coach. I don't have to worry about these moms. Like, you really have to do more than the average. So being a part of these guys' lives, the lives, day-to-day, not just the football lives, the day-to-day lives, it helps. But it doesn't help when there's no family structure to help you with that. It's but so much I could do. I could tell you all day, nah, don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke. But then you got some parents who gonna cop it for you. Parents is copying it for you. They didn't even have to directly get it. They know where bread is going. Like, I know for a fact, if I asked my mom back in the day, Mom, I need $10. She knew I ain't needed it for food. And sometimes they be like, you know what, here, but we gotta stop enabling our children so much to the point where, you know what, here's the $10, I know what you're using it for. No, instead, go buy him some food if you're really hungry. Just like we treat the homeless people in the streets, when they asking for money, sometimes people be like, no, I don't want to give you the money. I don't know what you're going to do with it. You got to do the same thing with your children sometimes because you don't know what these guys are going to do. Like, I was in high school, my dad gave me $5 every day for lunch. I can't do nothing with that in high school. I took that $5 every day, came here and gambled. Gambled every single day. Left school sometimes with $100. Didn't tell my dad, but that $5 added up. Whether it was $5, $10, it added up. I just turned it and flipped it on my own. But then that was the start of my destruction. Just doing things that I didn't need to do. I wanted sneakers. I wanted Jordans. Dad's a church dude. He's like, I'm not spending all this money. You need other things. It's right. So I wanted some of the things that I wanted, just like most of these guys do. And I didn't start off selling drugs. I started gambling in here. And then it picked up to selling drugs. And then it picked up to other things and other things and other things. We just got to try to figure out a way to connect with our kids so they understand I'm really here to support you. If you talk to some of those kids up there now, like one of our kids the other day, we met with UConn. And he couldn't even enjoy the meeting with UConn because he didn't tell his mom he was meeting with UConn. She ripped him up, aired him. How you not telling me that you're going to meet with a coach? And it was just a meeting. It wasn't a recruitment. He's doing his part, the UConn coach, to do what he needs to do to get the kids in here and build that trust. And he let his mom know after the fact. She tore him up. But because I have these relationships, he called me crying, trying to walk to class. Yo, coach, I'm just trying to do what I need to do. My mom's flipping on me, blase, blase. Yo, I need you to holler at her. Say less, because I know where you lie. I know how much love you have for your mom. You're not no shitty kid. You're not disrespectful. You want the best for your mom and yourself. Called her up, and she's just so frustrated with life, outside, relationships, everything. I had to really sit there and talk to her. Had a 30-minute conversation with her about life. It ended up being from about her son to about life and what she's going through. So these are how we help our parents, help our kids.
So conversations,
yes,
outlets, not being the enabler.
Mm-hmm.
You was talking earlier about other ways. You was talking about fashion,
Yep.
Lacrosse, different ways that we could bring a different group of kids into the same spot, like with basketball and football. Speak to that a little bit about what you're trying to do with that.
Vernon United is an umbrella. It is just an umbrella. You have Westchester Jets as a youth program. You have Mount Vernon Razorbacks as a youth program. Mm-hmm. Then you have Sash Chair, and then you have Mount Vernon Knights as a program. All of those programs fall in Mount Vernon United. If you see the U, I could fit all of those programs within this U and house it. We want to start adding more programs into the U, whether it be fashion course, after-school programs, different things for our community. Like, whatever we can do to get our kids off the streets, give them resources and outlets, so they don't have to just be like, you know what, I want to go chill in the corner. They want to be out the house. A lot of these kids don't want to be on the game all day. A lot of these kids don't have video games to be on the game all day. And then as coaches, we don't want them to be on the game all day. We want them active, doing different things. So when we do get them, they're not completely out of shape. They have some type of drive. And when we think about football now, I think these kids are a lot more skilled than we were when we were growing up. But I don't think they're better football players than us because they don't do the small things like play 49ers, play football out in the street, like tackle each other.
Basketball,
they don't do
like
those
that.
different things like that no more. So that athleticism and then that heart isn't where we need it to be. They might do ladder drills, do all of that stuff all day long. But when it comes down to them real trenches of tackling and real gritty football games, they don't know how to compete.
I think that I can agree to the point that you made about, the fashion program and even having the umbrella, just having more things to do, because the more things you have, the bigger audience you draw from the kid. So I liked football as when I was 6, 7, but when I was introduced to something new, it was when I was older. I was 16, 17, but because it was available, I had an option to be able to say, you know what, even though I've been playing football, and even though it wasn't necessarily like something like you where it was either streets or sports, but having something different than just like the regular basketball, football, or we just going to after school to do homework.
Chill.
Give something for the kids to be able to engage in, so that it's easy. It's easier for everyone as a community.
Something career driven. You look at Virgil, you see all these rappers. What's on social media is what's popular to them. So if we have an after-school programs, and in that after-school program, we have a fashion segment, we have a rapper segment, we have an engineer segment, we have beat producer, all of those different things that kids like to do. It gets them out the house. It gets them from being stuck into one box of play the video game, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go outside and chill, I'm gonna smoke, we keep them busy, they have less trouble to get into. And that's why I do so many different things here in the high school level. We took 2 weeks off from after the season. They didn't want to break. Usually when I played, we might have took off. If we finished football October, November, we stopped until January, mid-January, and then we came back. I'm looking at what was going on in our community, COVID, everything. I was like, yo, speaking to the coaches, it's like, yo, y'all trying to take a break? We got families and everything. I was like, yo, y'all trying to take a break or what? Everybody looked at each other. Let's go. Let's keep going. And that's where we at in our community. I think I'm young. I'm 34 years old. So while I'm young, I'm going to do everything as much as I can in a given time that I can for these kids because they need it. They don't have, when I was coming up, I didn't have nobody 20 or 30, whether it was alumni or not. Nah, don't do that. I can tell them, nah, smoking, don't do that. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite about it because I'm not. Or I could tell them, yo, if you smoke now, it's not going to, like, weed does nothing to you.
It's not going to be beneficial.
It's not being beneficial for you. You don't have that focus. You don't have that drive to put in, was it 80-20? To put in that 80% of the day, of the work that you need for the day, for you can be 20% better off later on. So I think them understanding that, and they smart. When I tell them, yo, if you smoke, when you smoke, what you do? They be like, I'll sit down and chill. You can't work out. You ain't picking up no book. You can't do this. And they be like, yeah, that's what you get from that. Like, until you are smart enough, you have the mindset to know, you know what, I'm gonna smoke, but then I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. That takes growth. I've been there, I've been going to school high, doing that. It don't work for everybody. So I had to tell the kids, like, yo, you can't do this. Like, it's making you not be who you need to be successful. And I think we have a good group of kids. When they know me, my name is Sparks for a reason. They know me and they seen what I've been through and they seen what I've done. And they be like, you know what? He's telling me that. They seen me in the streets. They seen me doing some of the worst. They seen it for themselves. And they can be like, yeah, if he's telling me this, it holds value. So that's my strong suit. It ain't really coaching between the lines. It's the trust factor that the kids have in me. It's the belief. And I think it's the identification of players.
So you kind of had a baptism of fire into a head coaching position at the crux of COVID. When I look at the timeline, it sounds as if you were hired right as COVID was kind of at its peak. There was a lot of talk between Westchester and New York City as to the restriction differences. Just talk to me about how you were able to engage your athletes, keep them motivated, and clearly one of the most difficult times as a society that we've seen in recent times.
Getting hired, I got hired in July. COVID really hit Mount Vernon hard March. We had to start shutting down schools. And that's why the process took so long from March to July, because we just wasn't in person. We couldn't do interviews and stuff like that. So when I did officially get hired in July, what helped me most is being a youth coach. That same nephew that I was talking about, who I started coaching football with, he was in the senior year. He was the star player of the team. I had some kids who play for me on youth, already established on the team. So me saying, this is what it is, this is what's new, they already knew. They already had the trust in me. They got with the program immediately. And then them getting with the program allowed everybody else to get with the program. And it was tough because we wasn't sure if we was going to be even play football in September. We actually did it. I couldn't have contact with I legally couldn't have contact with the team at all. due to COVID restrictions. I'm a smart guy. I do run my youth program. Our youth program is from 5 to 18, legally. What I did though, we started on Zoom workouts. The kids hated those. I hated them. I was so eager to actually start getting into work and installing and like the whole nine. I was ready to drive off the cliff, but we couldn't. So July and August was a struggle. But what I did do was build relationships with my sister's place, which started a relationship with the New York Giants. And then I also built up our relationship with Destination College. It's all the summertime. We didn't even get into school yet, but building those relationships kicked off our season when we was able to play in the spring the right way. I think having those relationships, kids don't want to be on Zoom. They didn't want to be on Zoom for school, but it sells and it helps when I got the New York Giants roster, like real players on Zoom, talking about life, what it's like to get into college, what the college life is like, what the pro life is like, what it takes to get from high school to college. Those are all interesting things to to athletes. So, and then it wasn't me telling them. Like, they've been hearing stuff like this from me for years. I got a tremendous amount of respect for the New York Giants organization and what they have done for our program and what they have done for me. I've been honored as the head coach of the week without playing no games. Just off the work that we have done through Zoom, through our community, and building our program up before even hitting the field. So I got a tremendous amount of respect for the New York Giants now, but that took time with that relationship. I'm kind of real loyal to a fault. Nike guy, we got Adidas uniforms, I hate it. But having that relationship with the New York Giants literally gave us a success that spring season. I don't think we would go to the championship game that spring season without the Giants' help. Because shout out to the Giants. And those are my guys. Like, I really got a lot of respect for the players, the staff, coaches, everybody. Without that, they helped us keep everything together. When I did have to do Zooms, it helped to have that Giant presence on them to say, you know what, let's get on it. I see what coach is doing. He got Giant players coming on here. He's doing extra stuff, and we want to be a part of it. Having Stepanek and Iona in our backfield, I did that. I was a major supplier for Stepanek as a youth coach because we didn't have this relationship with the high school as far as coaches go. So I had just like 11, 12 kids at Stepanek at the time. As soon as I got hired, it was a wave of kids coming back. Out of their 9th grade year, came right back to play my Vernon football and came right back to me. I didn't have to recruit them. As soon as I got hired, families, everybody, literally, transferred back over to my Vernon High School, which I thought was a dope thing. And it made me feel a lot more comfortable. And the already players feel a lot more comfortable about me if they didn't know me. Because they seen me bringing in kids that they knew should be here, but they was at Stepanek and different things like that. So I think that is where we at, and I think that's where we're going to grow from. And having that success that year just made it. We didn't do good this previous season due to injuries, but everything that we've been doing is just making everything grow so much faster. It's a few kids up there today, but if you came through during one of our workouts, you'd be like, all right, this is the growth we need. And that's where we at.
Good stuff. So our message as a platform to the Mount Vernon community, listen, man, here you have a homegrown guy, a guy that's putting the work in, that's building real relationships and taking a real conscious effort in galvanizing the youth community, particularly in the city. For all of the viewers out there, I think it behooves you, if you believe in the city of Mount Vernon and you love the city of Mount Vernon and the youth here, to get behind this movement, participate. Resources are resources. It's time, finances, mentorship, all of those things. There's a lane for everybody, I think, to participate.
Absolutely.
And in the competitiveness of it, we sometimes don't take the opportunity to do that because we're busy competing, man. Coach Sparks, we'd love to follow the program over the next several weeks and months. Come back up.
No, absolutely.
When y'all really in the thick of things and spring and summer workouts, with your blessing, man, we'd love to continue to cultivate this relationship.
Absolutely. We definitely can. I mean, I'm indebted to you guys. Like, I appreciate this. You guys travel down here on a Sunday, so I thank you.
Of course.
This platform is important. Just getting us, we're 4 square miles. Football isn't big here in Mount Vernon, but it's growing. And we appreciate your help on helping us grow.
Good stuff, man.
Thank you.
Yes, Coach Sparks definitely let us know that he came through the mud with that, and we love to see when people go back. I really believe that the communities are starting to understand a lot that they need to hire these guys who formerly went to these schools and lived in these communities. They're starting to understand that we have a greater power and a greater reach to these kids that are looking up to us. So it's a good thing. Shout out to Coach Sparks and the Mount Vernon family once again for having us down. And it was excellent. I enjoyed my time there.
Agreed, man. I think that there's a certain tangible credibility that kids see in someone that kind of is relatable to them. Clearly, you know, there's coaches from all different walks of life. You can learn anything from anyone if you come with the right mindset. But that said, you know, I think we're kidding ourselves if we don't really look at what you said about the fact that, you know, this guy has an ability to exponentially impact young people at a much faster rate than some people would typically be able to. So, you know, to the community, man, people like Coach Sparks or any of your local mentors, man, they need the support of the community. So, you know, our pitch to you guys is continue to support the show, continue to support our community pillars. We'd be remiss if we didn't shout out our guy from behind the camera. Never seen, but definitely putting in all of the pain. Big E, Black Elvis, extraordinary producer. This guy's got a long list of accomplishments. We're blessed to have him. So shout out to E behind the camera.
That's right.
Shout out to the bottom to the top hoops.
E. Jones, bottom to the top hoops. Shout out to all our people out there still assisting these young people in trying to get their dreams. Because that's all it's about, giving back. We've all made it to a level to where if you don't try to repair some of the damages you've done, what have you done? What have you actually done? What do you want to be remembered for?
That's right, baby. All we got is each other. Till next time, off the grid.
Yeah, off the grid, stand up. SBC, Black Elvis, Roddy, OG, it's wavy. Look, started from the bottom, so we off the grid. Tryna make it to the top, we soon live off the grid. Had dreams of making teams, I was just a kid. But we off the grid, yeah, we off the grid. When it come up, so we off the grid. Had dreams of the league, we was all just kids. And the bulls from the underground, they often miss the podcast, bringing light so they don't call it quits. Now pass the box, I'm open on the 10. They call me wavy in the red zone for the win. Then do your dance on them, raise the roof, we got the fans roaring. Catch a pick and then do it again. Chicago ain't my home, but I can't bear to see us lose. Playing rough like Emmitt Smith, I'm bringing 22s. I move smooth through the traffic like convertibles. Try to play me man to man and I'ma have to prove you. Look good, feel good, play good. Only talking prime time, I need to pay good. Was more than just a game, we wasn't from the same hoods. The ball kept us off the block, had to try to remain good. Started from the bottom, so you know we off the grid. Trying to make it to the top, so we live off the grid. Had dreams of making teams, I was just a kid. Oh, we off the grid? Yeah, we off the grid.